Quick Talk Sports here again. It's your boy Aaron Larsuel. That is Lisa Ann and Nic Goodwin over there. We're going to get into a bunch of fantasy stuff. We got a bunch of picks for you, gambling picks later on. But first, the disaster that is the New York Giants. How bad were they last night? On Monday Night Football, the Lions absolutely destroyed them. Eric Flowers at left tackle was a mess. Eli was under pressure the entire game. So question, Lisa, first for you from a fantasy perspective, have you given up on all the Giants stars, on Eli Manning, on Odell Beckham Jr., on Brandon Marshall, who they seem to not target until they're down 4 scores?
Yeah, we sent out an Amber Alert on Brandon Marshall last night on the show.
He's on the back of a milk carton?
Even sure what's happening. I've never been a believer of him in that system, so Brandon Marshall was out before the season. As for Odell, I just think he's coming back right now at about 50% with his ankle. He had to play with tape last night for the first time in his career. I think you're going to have to really hold and wait till week 6, week 7. Just don't be so hung up on the fact that you drafted him as your first pick and you have to play him. Just sit him on your bench, and if somebody wants to buy for him right now who thinks he's going to recover in 2 to 3 weeks, go for it. Just make the trade. But I can't believe in the offense, and there's got to be big changes there.
So, Nick, Lisa says basically wait and see / give up on them. How about as a team, especially as an offense? The defense looked pretty good last night, but as an offense, have you just given up on the Giants? Is their season over?
I mean, it's the first week 1, they played the Cowboys, okay? The Cowboys, they looked like the team, but then again...
Yeah, the Cowboys were a mess against the Broncos.
Yeah, they were. They were.
And that's your team, Lisa. I don't.
Yeah.
We'll leave you alone.
I believe that any team in the NFL can beat another team. They can look bad one week because we're talking about professional athletes.
Yes, yeah.
So we're not talking about college,
right.
And we saw the Rams look like the best team in football week 1.
Week 1.
Yeah. And then, so week 1, they played the Cowboys. They played terrible. They played bad again last night. I still say you got to give them some time.
Okay.
I think you got to give them some time.
They need to fix the offensive line.
Yeah. We've seen so many teams do this at the beginning of the season, and then all of a sudden by the end of the year, they become, they're playing great at the end of the year.
Yeah, of course. It is harder for a team starting out 0-2, but it's definitely not the end of the world. And the Brandon Marshall experiment has to need that time as well. But it's just Eli is really concerning right now. I mean, he made Matthew Stafford look like a star, and Matthew Stafford threw, 177, 200 yards? I mean, it wasn't even a big game, but if you just looked at the box score, you'd be like, oh, big game.
So we're going to jump into a little fantasy thing here. I want your opinion on some guys. We're going to call it buy or sell. I'm going to give you, it's kind of surprising so far, I'm going to give you the leading point scorer at quarterback, running back, and receiver. You guys tell me if you buy or sell them continuing this trend for the rest of the year. The number 1 scorer in all of fantasy at running back, Kareem Hunt. Do you buy or sell this production from him for the rest of the year?
I buy it 100%. This is what he was put out there for. He's in the perfect system. It's an Andy Reid situation. He's not sharing the work. This is the spot where you take it. He is the bell cow there. He's going to remain the bell cow, barring any injury or,
Do you think Andy Reid looks like Kool-Aid in his red Chiefs poncho?
The Kool-Aid man!
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah. Nick, do you buy or sell Kareem Hunt for the rest of the year?
I definitely buy. I got to buy. She gave it to us early.
She did, before the season started, Lisa told us. Speaking of the Chiefs, the number 1 quarterback in all of fantasy, Alex Smith. Buy or sell him the rest of the year?
I got to kind of buy it as much as I don't want to. That first game was something Alex Smith often does. He comes out, barrels running, but I look at Tyreek Hill. He did have a slow week this week, but I'm not looking for much more of that for him. He's got some weapons there that he could really benefit from, and I think he can get it to him.
I think I can't go either way. I mean, I think he's going to be great.
So you're holding. He's going to be a hold.
He's going to
no buy, no sell.
He's going to be a good...
Way to take a strong stance. I appreciate that.
Well, I expect him to be the Alex Smith that we're used to seeing.
Okay.
And we've seen it happen year after year. I mean, he has some great games, but he has a lot of weapons, too.
Yeah,
he does. Yeah, more than normal, yeah.
You can't compare Jeremy Maclin to Tyreek Hill at all.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. All right, and the number 1 receiver, drum roll here, the number 1 receiver in all of fantasy football, the Raiders' Michael Crabtree. 3 touchdowns last week. I know that made Lisa happy because she had him in every single daily fantasy.
About 10 out of 40.
Oh, just a quarter. You played 40 daily fantasy. Okay. So buy Michael Crabtree the rest of the way as a look. He's not gonna lead the league in fantasy points from a wide receiver perspective position. But do you buy or sell him as a top top 5, top 10 fantasy receiver the rest of the way.
These stats are skewed because there's only been 2 games, and in one of them, he did get 3
Right.
touchdowns. But I drafted Michael Crabtree over Amari Cooper, and no one else was doing so. I just feel like Amari Cooper sometimes has concrete hands. This is going to be the year.
And he did in week 1, too.
Yeah, concrete hands. This is going to be the year of Michael Crabtree. Derek Carr's looking really good, so I don't buy him staying in a top spot, but I do see him finishing the season as a top 10 wide receiver.
Don't tell Richard Sherman. Nick, what do you think? You buying Michael Crabtree the rest of the year?
No, I'm not. No,
I like that. Just distinct. I like it.
Yeah, no, I don't think that he's going to keep this up. Granted, I think he's, it's a good pick, but over Julio, over an Antonio Brown, over these other guys, I think that they'll come around.
So now this is what everybody waits for, right? Well, they wait to look at Lisa, but other than that, they want to hear our gambling picks.
True
We're
that.
gonna make you money. And this week also, starting this week, we're gonna have a bunch of picks, fantasy picks, gambling picks throughout the week for our subscribers on the YouTube channel.
Start
It's free.
sits, injuries to watch, waiver
Yes,
wire.
all of that. See, look at that. Look at the promo from Lisa. So Nick and I have a couple games each for you. Nick, your college game.
College game, we are looking at Mississippi State and University of Georgia. This is going to be a battle in the trenches. UGA's defense is what's holding them together right now.
Right.
Chubb and Sonny Michel, they're great at running back. They've had a little bit of issue at QB because Jacob Eason going out in week 1, and then of course Jacob Fromm coming in. But I think it's going to be a very, very close tight game. The line's at 6.5 right now. If it moves down to 3 or 4, I wouldn't touch it. But I think it's going to be a close game. So I would take Mississippi State plus the points.
Mississippi State plus the points. I have the Friday night game, the Pac-12 opener. Utah is at Arizona. Utah is giving 3 points. Arizona getting 3 points. And this, to me, smacks of recency bias. A lot of the public, you take the last thing you saw, and that's what causes you to bet. Arizona absolutely obliterated UTEP last week. Arizona is terrible. Utah is significantly better than them. It's at Arizona. They have no home field advantage at Arizona, so they're getting some points for that. They're getting some points for destroying awful UTEP last week. Don't buy it. Utah, Kyle Whittingham team, disciplined. Arizona, Rich Rodriguez, not disciplined. That's going to be the difference in this one. Give the 3 points and take Utah on Friday night. Let's jump into some NFL. Nick, one of your NFL games.
Well, we have the Raiders and the Redskins. Now, from the outset, I really think, I was thinking about -3 for Oakland, but now I start really thinking about things, and I like the over.
Okay.
You're at 54.
A lot of points.
The Raiders still gave up 20 points to the Jets,
Yep.
and the Redskins I just see a lot of points. Carr, I look for Marshawn at the end of the game to be dancing like he did the other night.
Didn't I? Come on, Marshawn. Yep. Beast mode. I'm going to take the Thursday night game. I'm going to pick the Thursday night game. It is the Rams 3-point favorites in San Francisco, actually Santa Clara, and I'm going to take the 49ers +3. Why? A few reasons. One, the 49ers beat the Rams twice last year.
True.
But more importantly, Santa Clara also not a huge home field advantage for the 49ers, but teams that go on the road in short weeks have trouble.
Yep.
They're going to struggle. The Rams are going to struggle. I think it's both defenses are better than both offenses. I think it's a close game. I actually think the 49ers win outright. But if you're going to give me a home underdog on a Thursday night, I'm all over it. 49ers +3 against the Rams.
I'd also like to add the fact that I think you should definitely be paying Philadelphia's defense this week up against the Giants.
Love it, yes. The Giants, as we talked about earlier, have been absolutely awful. Philadelphia's defense, a good quick pick from Lisa there.
Talking about defense, we have the Panthers playing the Saints. The Saints, no defense.
None, zero.
The ball it's just Cam Newton will actually start playing this week.
Let's hope.
I mean,
if you
get some quarterback power, we're going to get some read option from Cam finally.
Yeah, maybe. But they're at home. I mean,
Yep.
Granted, this is their second game at home. He didn't come out last week against the Bills, but I really expect them to cover the 5.5 points. The Saints just do not look good. But you're going to see a lot of offense.
The Saints are bad.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of offense. It'll be a very fantasy relevant game.
But the Panthers, can the Panthers D take care of Breeze? I still think that they can, especially they can cover. I really like that one.
And the last one here, which is I'm going to call it a pillow fight.
Okay.
It is the Cleveland Browns, who are favorites for the first time probably ever, I'm guessing. I don't think the Cleveland Browns have ever been favorites in any game ever played in NFL history. The Cleveland Browns are favored at Indianapolis. Both rosters are terrible. Both quarterbacks are terrible. Jacoby Brissett looked awful. He looked okay, and then he looked awful. Deshaun Kaiser's hurt. Maybe he'll play. He has migraine issues. He's also been terrible. The Indianapolis roster is better than the Cleveland roster, and it's in Indianapolis, and I'm getting a point. Indianapolis has been terrible and is terrible. They will beat the Cleveland Browns. They have more to play for. They're playing to get Andrew Luck back in a few weeks to save the season. Cleveland has nothing to play for. They know they're not going anywhere. Give me a point at home. I will take the Indianapolis Colts +1. Anytime the Browns are favored, run the other way. The Colts +1.
True.
That's going to wrap it up for today, for this week. Aaron Larsuel, Lisa Ann, Nic Goodwin. Subscribe. We're going to have more for you throughout the week for those that are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Subscribe. It's free. Hit that button. I don't know. Maybe it's by Lisa. Just hit a button by Lisa or over here. And we will catch you later on in the week.